All right, so this week was a little bit more rough than we expected. A lot of people
Mhm.
were thinking that they're going to go into the home opening weekend and they're just going to absolutely tear it up. So they won 1 out of 3, which is good ish. But, at least they got one win. Alex, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay, buddy. I'm doing okay. You know what? Triple headers are for baseball, not for hockey. And there's some things to learn from this weekend. And I definitely know you and I will be talking about how we feel about how they played for this past weekend.
Absolutely. In this episode, there's going to be a lot to cover. We're going to go over the first 3 games, including the home opener on Friday, which they won 5-2 against the Ottawa 67s. That was a great game. The game against Niagara on Saturday night. And of course, this past game, which was the Hamilton Bulldogs on Sunday afternoon. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about our thoughts on the week, what we can expect for next week coming up. And of course, we have, as we said in the last episode, that very special sponsorship announcement, which we are going to save the best for last. So let's get into the recaps. Alex, it was home opener on Friday night. That was such a great game to start off with.
Yep.
The goalies were Roman Bazarin for the Steelheads and Will Cranley was playing for Ottawa. We know how he was. He was a little bit shaky this year, but he was a little bit more he was on the solid side. For most of the game. Dodig takes a penalty. Hardy gets a shorthanded goal. Steelheads go up 1-0. Like he scores 2 more goals, to clarify. Gets a hat trick. Anselmini scores his first goal, and then Ulla Bjorkvik first goal of the season. The 2 goals for Ottawa were scored by Jack Beck and Cameron Tolnay. Thoughts on that game?
Great game. Love to see James Hardy prove the NHL scouts wrong and showing why he should have been drafted in the past 2 NHL drafts, getting a natural hat trick. And those were all just 2 of them are breakaway goals. But listen, the amount of patience he showed on his second breakaway for that second goal was incredible. And it just showed how much he's improved overall. That third goal, that was just all that showed was if you just put sustained pressure on a goalie, the puck will go in the back of the net, and it did. And he got a natural hat trick. Anselmini's goal was solid with a great pass by Beck and a follow-up pass by Portakalis. Ulla Bjorkvik, great shot from the point. His shot has gotten better tremendously with his time in Columbus over the past preseason in the NHL. So overall, a great game. Roman Bazarin stole the show for me personally. He played an absolutely great game. And overall, a very, very good start to the weekend, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're looking at how well this team played on Friday, they looked like they were ready for the weekend. It's like you said, triple headers are for baseball. Like for me, and those of you who know me know this, I have a huge issue with back-to-back-to-back games. I just don't think it's fair on the players. It's great if you're a fan.
Sure.
But it'll kill them. And I think that's what happened this weekend, which, you go into Niagara the Saturday night. Final score for that game was 4-2. Cameron Peters scored the opening goal. Pruder ties it up, and then they get 3. Luke Misa tries to get one back. Well, he got his first career goal, which was nice. It was a very nice goal. Pretty nice tip.
Very cool.
Yeah. But, they couldn't make a comeback, and they looked very tired the night after. All I'll say about that is they got outplayed. Just flat out, they got outplayed. There were so many calls as well. Like, looking at the penalties in that game, remember what I mentioned in the first episode about playing disciplined and how, the more that they do it, it's going to work in their favor. But this game, I felt that they let it get away from them. They lost the momentum as soon as that first goal was scored. They got one back, which was good. And it looked like they were going to have a better game. But then you have 3 consecutive penalties happening within like 5 minutes of each other. Portakalis goes off for roughing. Anselmini goes off for a hold. And then Evan Brand went off for an interference call. Then there was the hope that on Sunday, you'd bounce back against Hamilton. They did not.
I will say that triple headers should not. Do triple headers ever realistically happen in the National Hockey League? Tyler?
Look, I'm going to say this before we talk about that, because I think that's a really important point. I'm going to say this. I'm not blaming any of this on the players. This was completely schedule oriented, and they got burnt out early. The game in Niagara, that was just them. They weren't playing the most disciplined hockey, which, you can't really make an excuse for that. They just flat out didn't play well. This game against Hamilton, they were burnt out. They gave it all they could. They were burnt out. And it looked like they were going to come back later on in the game, but they were just burnt out, flat out. If you want to make it back to back, that's fine.
Go for
But
it.
3
That
games on
happens.
the, like, come on.
That happens in the professional level, right? That happens. So having these young players play a back to back, that's not a foreign concept.
Yeah,
But
like
a
you're used
to back, a triple header. Now you're starting to confuse me here.
because, and it's not really helping the players in any way too. Some people say,
No.
they're doing it for experience, but
It is experience, but
it's
killing them at the end of
experience,
the day.
but they're not really helping them in any way because if anything, they're getting more tired. Like I want to bring this up really quick.
Sure.
And this was, I'm not bashing the coaching staff. I have so much respect for JR, for Brendan Taylor and Jeff Kazakis.
They're good coaches.
They're amazing coaches.
They're good coaches.
But the one thing that really confused me was that Joe Ranger didn't start a single game this whole weekend until he had to get put in midway through the game in Hamilton.
3 games in a row. Roman Basran started. Why? Because for the record, you know what? I'm just going to quickly go game by game in terms of how Roman Basran was. So Friday night, home opener, he was very good. Flashing the leather multiple times, making key saves to keep them in the game and to keep the deficit as small as it was. Because Ottawa was slowly gaining momentum, right? And they kept, they got that first goal, they got that second goal, they're mounting, they had some momentum, but it was cut off because of very good goaltending. So Friday, great showing by Roman Basran. Second game, personally, I would have given the game today. I would have given the game on Saturday in Niagara to Joe Ranger and then have Basran start on Sunday. But no, they went with Basran again. Okay, sure. He's hot. That's fine.
Which I can understand. Like, you want him to get your games in too, right? But I think that Joe Ranger is a really talented goalie. He's great.
He's improved so much.
He's shown the most improvement out of, I'd say, any goalie in the Central Division from last year. He needs an opportunity to play.
He's been good, but no,
because he's been great. It's like you said, like I said, he doesn't get better by sitting on the bench.
No player does, really. You can't,
and it's
in any league, any sport, you can't expect the player to develop properly and to get good experience to develop themselves and better themselves in their sport if they can't actually play.
Yeah. And see, that being said, the game on Sunday when he did come in,
he was fine.
He played perfect. Like, he didn't let in a single goal. He made a bunch of incredible saves. He looked good.
He made good saves. Exactly. And it just shows, absolutely. And it just shows what could have been. It just shows what could have been if they started Joe Ranger. And listen, in terms of Roman Basran today, as we're recording this just after the game's over against Hamilton on Sunday, he was tired. And I will say, though, majority of the goals he let in were kind of stupid goals. They weren't goals I would say it was all on him. What the hell is he doing? No.
Oh, yeah. Like,
they were stupid goals. It was a purely collective defensive goalie back end kind of a cluster mess up, right?
Yeah, and I think
those kinds of goals.
Again, it comes from the lack of energy, right? Because I mean, you're not used to playing. Yeah. And again, I'm not making, for those of you who say I'm making excuses for this team, I'm not.
I'm definitely not making excuses. I'm definitely not. Yeah. Yeah.
They played however many games. They played 61, 62 games in 1920.
Is that how many? I think that's how many games are in.
And then the season got shortened. There were 6 or 7 games left. They didn't play a full year.
They didn't play a full year.
Over a full year. And for them to play a triple header, a back-to-back in their second or their third week.
This is what I'll say to that. It is absolutely tough. You're absolutely right. The schedule calls for games to be played. You and I both know that having 3 games in a row in hockey is not necessarily ideal. So in terms of having this third game, it shouldn't necessarily have happened. But in terms of Friday and Saturday,
or if it did, space it out. Put one on the Thursday, one on the Friday, and then one on the Sunday.
And then one on the Sunday. Sure, why not? Because listen, their Niagara game, I genuinely believe that's on them. That win was because of them. That loss on Saturday was because of them. Today, I will say they were tired. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of a triple header, but if the schedule calls for it, they gotta suck it up and play. It's crappy because if I were a player, I wouldn't like that. If I were a coach, I definitely wouldn't like that. So the result is the result of the Hamilton game. There were some good moments in that. I will say there were some good moments in that. It wasn't the officiating, that's for sure. But there were some good moments from that. Yeah, Joe Ranger is perfectly fine. He should have started that game personally. Luke Misa continues to get better every game. His passing is really on point, and he's looking a bit more confident with the puck. He's also not acting more of a ragdoll, getting hit everywhere and just falling down and crumbling to pieces every time he gets checked, So I'm really happy to see that. Owen Beck is playing a good 200-foot game. Xander Vecchia got his first was it today or was it Friday? I'm sorry.
It was today.
It was today.
He just got his first assist.
His first OHL point. And then Ethan Del Mastro got his first OHL goal off of a great Misa pass. I just think overall that the sharpness of the defense needs to be strong. They need to be stronger, I will say.
And
because
you got to think though, it's 1 week though too. I mean, they went 1 for 3, without a doubt. They have a tough schedule coming up next week. They're playing Barrie on Friday night, and then they're in Hamilton on Saturday. Without a doubt, they can turn this around.
They absolutely could.
They just need a little bit of time to rest and recover. And then next week they need to just say to themselves, hey, we need to play for each other. We're going to go out there. We're going to do this. And they will. We've seen them time and time again prove us wrong.
Yep.
And they will. I know they will. But it's, again, I think that, the first 2 games, they were okay. I mean, the home opener was fantastic. That loss was played. It's like you said. I mean, the second game against Niagara. I mean, it could have been better, absolutely. And then the third game, they were burnt out. Like this whole thing of back-to-back games, I think it should just be eliminated entirely.
It should be. We aren't. Like,
it's just not fair. It's not fair.
It's not ideal. I will say though, it may sound like we are making excuses. We are not.
No,
we just don't personally believe in listen. No team in the OHL or any hockey league in the world should be playing 3 games in a row. It doesn't.
If you want to do it back-to-back, that's fine.
Go for it. Have fun.
But space out the third game. Like if you're going to do a third game, space it out. This team is good. We don't have to start worrying quite yet. I would really start hitting the panic button if we went into like November, the end of November, and we were like 3-15. That's when I would start worrying. But for right now, I think they're fine. So they've got, like we mentioned, they've got 2 games next week. They've got Barrie on Friday night, and they've got Hamilton on Saturday.
We'll be going to both of those games.
Yes.
So that should be fun.
Yeah, we will be going to both. What can we expect for the upcoming week? I think we're going to see 2 great goalies.
Yep.
Marco Constantini is likely going to start on Saturday for Hamilton. And
I think Lalama, I believe it's Lalama. I hope it's Mateo because I'm sorry. And listen, I think he's the better goalie, but I just love seeing this kid play. He's a really good goalie. So I think that would be a great matchup for some entertaining hockey. This is what I'll say about what I think they need to do for this upcoming weekend of games. You're facing a team in Barrie who really rely on their top players heavily because personally, besides their top line, Vierling, Oscar Olsen, Cardwell, Brant Clark, they don't have much. I personally, they don't have much. So in terms of depth, the Steelheads got them there, but they just need to capitalize on their chances because they are going to be facing a good goalie.
Oh yeah, I think that Barrie is one of those teams that everybody underestimates them, but they end up coming back and really just fighting a good fight. So Absolutely. I think that they really just need to be aware of that, right? Capitalize on those opportunities, like you said. Make sure they're playing strong defense because even if their top line doesn't get in, the other depth forward lines will.
They're pesky. They will chip away. Exactly. They will chip away.
And there's no doubt with the game. There's no doubt in my mind that they can win that game. In terms of the game against Hamilton, Navrin Mutter. That's all you really. Jan Mizak was another one. There are so many players who you need to just watch out for.
You do.
There's a reason why this team is one of the top teams in the league.
They are a defensive menace. They are. The way they played today was.
They outworked their opponents, and they've been doing that since the beginning of the season. I thought that. Look, I have to give a tip of the hat to Hamilton. Because they played an amazing game where, they played a great Steelheads in several areas, but there are still times when they have weaknesses. And the best thing that the Steelheads need to do is just find those weaknesses on Saturday and get through to them.
They played them once. It's a good start to attack them in their own barn at the First Ontario Center on Saturday, but it's going to be difficult because their team are filled with so many strong physical guys on that team that will just destroy you. And their confidence with the puck, at least from what we saw today, was exceptional. They didn't really make that many mistakes. They were all over the Steelheads, being on the receiving end of Steelhead turnovers multiple times, especially throughout the middle of the ice. So it's going to be a difficult matchup in Hamilton. And listen, if I could also say one thing about, you brought up, maybe the panic button right now, or, is it soon maybe a time to start thinking about, something to do moving forward to change the dynamic of this team? This is what I'll say. And this is something I've talked to Tyler and other people about through the preseason. This is not the 1920 team where we had Keenan Washkarak, Cole Schwint, Richard Whitaker. That team is long gone. It's long gone. This is a much more younger, inexperienced team who I believe have very good ceilings to overall be one of the better teams in the CHL in years to come. Next season, the season after that. Inexperience is going to be their killer here, and it happened today. Just because of the fact that a lot of shots happened from the veterans today, right? We saw Hardy get a really good goal that was sadly waved off, right? We saw Ethan Domasho's goal being assisted by Luke Misa, but he is one of few rookies who are able right now to contribute offensively to the point where they can actually get pucks in the back of the net. Owen Beck's goal today, that was just a great rebound shot into an open net. It was a good goal, right? But overall, I just want to make sure people have their expectations in line for the Steelheads, because they're not going, it's a different team. Inexperience is going to be their killer, if anything. So they just need the experience to develop themselves, I think, moving forward. And that's what they need to do throughout the season. So in terms of a panic button or whatnot, I just say don't get your expectations too high this season, at least, and see what happens. But we're all different. We all have different takes, right? But so far, of course, 2-5. That's not a great way to start the season, I imagine. So,
and you know what? I don't want a lot of people who are going to be listening to this are probably going to be thinking, we're crapping on the team. Why do you got to be so negative? It's the truth. But I also want to point out some of the positives that were found this weekend as well. They played a good defensive game on Friday.
They did.
Saturday was a little bit rocky, but they found a little bit better defense on Sunday's game. Their offense was sharp, but they just need to make better decisions in terms of, making sure that you don't cause turnovers and things like that. So I think, overall, it wasn't as bad as we probably thought it was.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't great.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
It wasn't still. It's not. Yeah, exactly. It's not like they just laid on the ice and just took it as it was. No.
Yeah,
it's not like they didn't try. Zach Lavoie was forechecking hard. James Hardy was forechecking hard. Vecchia. I'm sorry, I need to figure out how they pronounce it. But no, listen, like there are full of hard workers on this team. I just think I will say this: as the season goes on, I think they will get better. And I think a prime example of the more experience, the better, is Luke Misa, because Luke Misa throughout his first 3 games was just kind of on autopilot. I feel. He was just skating with really good speed, trying to do his best, but wasn't doing much. Now look at it, right? He's now going on a point tear, assisting very, very good goals and being key contributors to those goals, right? So, and the thing is, and as the season goes on, again, it's just going to spread, all that confidence will come over time. All that experience will come over time, right? Because on paper, the team it's not bad. It's a good team, but I just think the pieces, the puzzle pieces will come together over time. So we'll cut.
You know what? Just Steelheads fans, don't panic, because it's still early in the season. There's a lot of time to turn things around, and there are a lot of opportunities to do so, whether that's through working through it in practice, trying out different lines, maybe even making a trade if it comes to it. There are a lot of good things about this team, so I would not start panicking quite yet. It's going to be a rough one. So for the first little while anyway, it's going to be a little bit rough. So strap yourselves in, but cheer on this team. Don't give up on them. Okay, Alex, you know what? I think we've kept them waiting long enough. We have our first ever, and this is the first ever Pro Shot podcast that has an exclusive sponsorship. And Alex, I know that you were pretty excited about this. I was super excited when you first told me. So anybody who's a Steelheads fan knows who Charles Warburton is. He is such an amazing person. Super cool to talk to. A photographer for the Mississauga Steelheads. And he also owns his own sports memorabilia business called CW Sports Memorabilia. And now I think you know where we're going with this.
Yep.
So it is my honor and privilege to announce that the Pro Shot podcast, more specifically Inside the Tank, is partnered with CW Sports Memorabilia, and he will be the official sponsor for our videos for the rest of the season. So we're very excited, super happy to have you on board. And Charles, thank you again for sponsoring our episodes.
Absolutely. Charles has an incredible set and collection of sports memorabilia wear from hockey, baseball, football, all of the major sports in North America. And he has some incredible autographs from hockey legends, junior hockey legends, and he is actively getting new autographs, doing signings with players, all those kinds of things. And he's a great guy, great photographer, and he offers a great service with his sports memorabilia business.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it too is he's going to have a website soon. So unfortunately, we don't have a website where you can go directly, but we are going to link his social media down below so you can go and check out some of the cool stuff that he's done. But he's got so many cool things. He's actually got his own store, and there are so many cool artifacts, from signed helmets to sticks to
pucks, signed jerseys, it's all of the good stuff. Absolutely.
And like you said, it's not just hockey; it's every single sport that you can imagine. He's got a little bit of something for everybody.
Absolutely. If you're a Leaf fan, he has Leafs memorabilia. Doug Gilmour, John Tavares. You're a Flames fan, Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk. If you're a junior hockey fan, he has all of that stuff. His selection of hockey memorabilia is absolutely incredible, and his prices are pretty darn good in terms of the competitive sports memorabilia market. And he's an absolutely great guy, great photographer, and just really excited to announce this partnership with him.
So with that being said, is there anything else, Alex, that we forgot about that we should add in, or that we want to talk about any last minute before we end off the episode?
Honestly, to my knowledge, I think I am personally good to go for this next weekend of games. It should be fun. Hopefully Joe Ranger actually starts a game, because playing Basran 3 in a row was probably not the greatest idea, as we saw today with this Hamilton game. So hopefully we see Joey in net, and hopefully we do see Basran in net, and hopefully they can come out guns a-blazing after getting some much needed rest. And hopefully recovering well during the week.
So that being said, it's going to be a very fun weekend. You're definitely going to want to buy your tickets ahead of time. So it'll save you a huge lineup at the games on Friday and Saturday. We're going to be at both. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already done so, please go and check out our social medias and hit that subscribe button and that bell notification for new uploads every single time. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.